we're just gonna go ahead and jump into it because I legit, I legit had had to focus on doing this podcast in order not to cry.
Yeah, that one was tough. In like the fact that I knew it was coming and it was like there was like just a doomsday clock. And as soon as they like saved Abby and they get on the horses and they're getting closer to the lodge and then they get there and he's trying to get back out, there was just like a doomsday clock and you like I knew it was coming and there was nothing I could do about it. And it was
So
as
we're gonna
bad as it
start right
was.
there. We're gonna
Yes.
say, hey, welcome everybody. We're filming this like 30 minutes after episode 2 of The Last of Us season 2. If you have not seen the episode, please don't watch it. We're going to talk about it. If you kind of know what's going to happen and you don't care, fine, fine. But if you did watch it, you know what we're going to be talking about. And so, quick, go ahead. Give a real fast 1 minute, your initial reaction.
My initial reaction was it was a phenomenal episode that pulled at the heartstrings, just from the character standpoints and the the doom and gloom that comes with it. I also think HBO made up for the long night with this episode, having it in the daytime so we could see what happens. But it set the tone going forward.
Yes, yes, it did. I will say I had like it felt like somebody was like taking my heart or at least just my diaphragm, my lungs, and like squeezing them for the episode. Like
Yes.
I wasn't we like we discussed in our last episode that we weren't 100% sure if it was going to be in episode 2, if it was going to be episode 3, but the second that he rescues her, I just they're paralyzing, like suffocating. I just there's that bit part in the back of your brain where you're like, well, maybe they'll change
Yeah.
it.
Maybe they took some liberties on the script,
Maybe they're gonna surprise us and not
right?
really do this, like
Oh,
and you're just like, I just, yes, just a suffocation of the entire thing.
it was like you were
So
breathing through a straw.
yeah, like shallow breaths. Like I might pass out before this episode
Yes.
even finishes. So okay, so we're gonna do a brief recap is you start with I can't remember like my mind is just
You
still
start
in like
with Ellie waking up late to go on patrol.
okay, yes, Jesse wakes her up late. You think that he's mad about her and Dina kissing. Not so. He's just like whatever, but he's just giving her shit. And then says, "Oh, or she wants to go." She never really says what the problem still is with Joel, but she's like, "We'll be fine," which immediately you're like, okay.
Right.
And she's like, I want to go on patrol with him. And he's like, too late. He's already gone off with Dina, which again, it's just like each time you just felt like that domino being just doom.
Yes.
And you feel like boom, it wasn't just a click, it was just
Yeah.
like an echo. So that those two are out already. Her and Jesse go out. The storm is blowing in. They're trying to call everybody back, but the two groups, um, you find out that Jesse and Ellie end up in this, I guess it's like a
The
gas station.
7-Eleven, uh,
Okay.
so
Yeah,
7-Eleven miniature convenience store.
yeah, which is full of weed that apparently you find out is was run by Eugene, which is Catherine O'Hara's husband, which she then alludes to in that first episode that
Yeah.
Joel has killed him and that she hasn't forgiven him, but and then you have this really kind of awkward moment with her between her and Jesse where he was like, yeah, it's a real shame that Eugene had to go out like that. And she's like, yeah, so you feel like there's something more like
Yeah.
maybe the
There's
reason they
something
gave
under the surface.
yeah, the reason they gave the community for why Eugene had to die is not exactly the reason. Like maybe did Eugene find out about Ellie's immunity
Right.
and
Did he? Yeah. That's
yeah,
the question of the not the question of the season, but that is
right,
one of the lingering questions because they have
right.
they made a point to take away from the first episode's world building to give us Joel's therapy session, which I guess does add more layers to him. But they
Right.
made a point to have Catherine O'Hare talk about her
Right.
husband. And then in the second episode, that was
Yes.
jam-packed with all kinds of stuff. They found time to reference him again.
Which, from my understanding, there is going to be an episode that is around the whole Eugene. Like it's around his character and the whatever happened between them. So again, we are going to talk about what happened at the end of the episode, but not a spoiler. You're going to see Pedro Pascal throughout I shouldn't say throughout the rest of the season, but at least a few more episodes. Then, okay, so you have them stumble upon that. She finds out he was a firefly, which, in all possibility, maybe he's the one that told Ellie. Maybe there was
Yeah.
a communication network, and she's find out from him. But in the meantime, you then go to the lodge that Abby and Owen and Mel and I want to say Manny is the Falcon.
Yeah,
It's
right.
and then I
That's
think
what
it's
I've just been calling him the Falcon.
right. And then I think her name's Nora. I think
Mhm.
those are the characters there. And you find out that they're trying to make a plan. They realize that Jackson is a lot bigger than just a few tents set up, and that they're going to have a little problem. She's hell bent on getting into Jackson and carrying out this plan. But you see a few of the other people, especially Owen, is like, I'm going to try to talk her out of this
They're
because we all
thinking
going to
more
die.
clearly about the situation
Yeah,
because
he's
they
like,
realize like it's not a tent city. Like
right,
not just
we
that
all
they
going to
all
die.
realize it, but they realize it.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh yes, you're right." And if we make it past the dogs. So it's like, yeah, like it's one, I don't understand why they had to have a whole plan of ambushing though. Like to me, it would have seemed better to like go there to seek asylum
I
and then
wonder if they thought because we know from the first episode
sure.
that they are pretty much at capacity, but they
Right.
don't know that.
Right.
So maybe they assumed they treated newcomers like raiders, and they didn't think they would get the opportunity to come in friendly and join the community and show their value and get let in with open arms. It would have been worth a shot, but you never know if they would have just turned you away or would they have
Sure.
shot you and said, "We'll take your gear, though."
Yeah, yeah, very good point. Yeah, I didn't like, but it's so you find out that Owen's kind of like, I'm going to try to talk her out of it while because they send her out to spy. She sees two people on horse, goes to track them down, rolls down a hill, falls into a pit, lands in the middle of a big old nice fungi soup that's
Yeah.
kind of frozen over, and apparently cold does not kill them. I mean, at least
Yeah.
they don't even freeze to death.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Yeah.
And they all come to life, start chasing her. She makes it somewhere, I guess where I'm sorry, where Dina and Joel kind of were holed up. And Joel, lo and behold, saves her without knowing she is actually trying to track him down and kill him.
Yeah.
So he says he notices Jackson on fire and says, "We got to get back." And she's like, but we could go to, or that the storm gets worse. And she's like, "Let's go to the lodge." Then he sees Jackson on fire and she's like, "Still, let's go to the lodge. We can get supplies and we can get everything together there." They get there and it all goes to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
And
did a good job with the scene. As tough as it was to watch, and I was watching it kind of like this,
yes.
they did
Yes.
a good job of the sound mixing because it felt like you could hear those hits and you could hear the pain. They did a good job of lining it up to the game, and really letting you know how bad it was for him.
And I didn't, in my head, I was like, I didn't think I could hate another character on the level of Joffrey. And yet here we are, HBO. You
Yeah.
manage to do it every once in a while.
I
You
was
manage,
making jokes about them being at Winterfell and on the wall when they were running up there and seeing the horde coming towards them. I was literally like, "Where's Jon Snow at?"
I,
Like they lined up like that was pretty close.
I'm glad you actually brought that up. There were so many similarities. Like you got so many connections, I don't say connections to Game of Thrones, but it was very hard home where
Yes.
the zombies all rise up and like while John's trying to, recruit the wildlings. One of the first episodes, I believe, I can't remember the name of it, but where you have Sansa and Cersei all gathered in the tombs.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're all out and they're banging because the families that are down there and the banging on the doors. I
Hmm.
got, like that. And like, yeah, there was a lot of like, whoa, I remember this. And it
Yeah.
gave me the same feeling. Like I never thought I'd feel like that again. And yet here we are. And it was awful.
Right.
You're like, oh, I want to experience the magic of Game of Thrones again. And then you experience it and you're like, well, that really
Yeah, and then
sucks.
you're reminded of why you're reminded of why it remains with you all these years.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, they get to the lodge and Joel is Mr. All right, let's pack things up. We got to get to Jackson. And Abby has, she has a whole speech
Yeah.
planned out for Joel. And even I was like, when he finally said, just shut up and get on with what you're doing. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
brother, thank you. Like, I'm gonna take away your moment. Even though she said you don't get to,
You
you
don't
don't
get
get
to rush me, but I said the same thing. It was like The Incredibles. Just like the villains always start monologuing. Like that is exactly what I thought. Like I realize that you want him to realize the pain that he has caused you for half a decade, but I'm like, this just like at this point he knows he's not getting out of it. So everyone in the
right,
room, he knows he's not getting out of it. Your team knows what's coming. So I
right.
think everyone was like, all right,
Yeah,
let's
just
let's
shut
get to it.
shut up. You're like, we get it. Like, and the one part that I did find funny where she was like, we were told never to kill somebody unarmed. And she was, basically like trying to be like morally superior to Joel and going in there and the doctor had a scalpel. Like it wasn't that he was completely unarmed.
That's true.
Let's not give him that. Let's just do it. But she's in a lot of pain, which is it just makes me so mad when people act irrational, so spocky, and then I'm like, okay, but now you're causing pain. So
Right.
like you're just now you've taken a father away from another child. Like,
The cycle continues.
yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just get therapy.
Yeah. If you had gotten into the community, you could have gotten some therapy.
Right, from the therapist who still hates Joel but
Yeah.
was willing to give him therapy. Yeah. So Um, I mean, I know you said like the when we talked about the first season, our first episode, you talked about how they were doing a really good job of trying to make you hate Ellie, or at least mad at her for
Yes.
her kind of spoiled brat routine that she was going through. Um, Thoughts now. Not so much focused on those last moments where she's curled up next to a dead body,
Right.
but
No, I think they did a good job of toning it down per se. I mean, obviously she becomes the victim by the end of the episode, and her annoyance in the first episode does not like the punishment didn't fit the crime. Like she was annoying. Joel didn't deserve to die, like to make me like be like, there you go. But they did a good job
now
of
you
bringing
know.
her. Yeah, exactly. They did a good job of bringing her back down. And again, I realize she's just being a rebellious teenager who didn't have a childhood, but I also look at a lot of other ones and think neither did the other kids there.
Right.
But she woke up, for patrol. She went on patrol. She wasn't really arguing. She seemed more in line with the rest of the team this time around, which I thought was good and important.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, she kind of threw caution to the wind when she found out Joel was in trouble and left. What's his name? I'm blanking. Whoever her partner was, Jesse.
Dina.
Um, no, when
Wait.
like when she heard Joel and Dina were in trouble, she
Oh,
did a good job of like
oh,
chasing after them.
Jesse. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she at the beginning she said me and Joel are fine, or at least we'll be fine. So it's like you could
Right.
almost see that even she realized that maybe she needed to tone it back a little bit.
She's
Um,
coming on a little strong.
Yeah, like even she realized it. So I think they did a good job with that. But now she's going to have all of this rage inside her for the foreseeable future.
Which I'm now good with, like,
Oh,
because
100%.
Miss Ma'am
100%.
needs to die. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
um, I know, well, I mean, we won't discuss what we know about the
Yeah.
game, but yeah. So,
Do you know that they're only doing half of the second game this season?
yes.
Okay.
yeah, they're not that they're yeah, the season is only going to be yeah, half of the yes. Yeah, that they're not doing the full second part of the game. Yeah, that it's going to, which yeah, because I don't know how many seasons they plan on doing completely because I don't think any more of the game is out, right?
No, I think if they did a third season, it would be the second half of the game, and then after that, you kind of wonder,
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, because then are they
yeah,
continuing
are
how
you
much of the
done after
game,
season three, or you're gonna do some DLC? Like I don't know what their
which then
plan
you,
is.
right, then you start to get into the tricky thing that we always talk about with like Game of Thrones is when you run out of source material, then you start making up stuff and everybody's like, this doesn't make
Yep.
any sense to the characters.
Yep.
And yeah. So, all right. So Ellie, like, yeah, I wouldn't say she softened, but you started, I mean, they did obviously want you to feel like there was going, like, for the people who didn't know, they wanted you to feel like there's going to be hope in a reunion, like they're going to come together
They're
and they're
gonna
going
make
to,
up. They
right,
have
they're going
to.
to
It's Joel
resolve,
and Ellie.
right, they're going to resolve these issues. No big deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you don't really see um, Joel in it too much. You don't really see, I mean, you see Dina in there for a TikTok.
Yeah.
Basically, she's fighting until Joel kind of looks at her and is like, don't like I'm going when she says, if you answer truthfully, then I'll let her live, which again kind of shocked the group that she was with that like, Lord, you're just on a kill, like you're judging him and now you're on a killing rampage because she
Yeah.
started talking about people she was going to kill in the village or she, like
Yeah.
we'll just start tying up people and start and everybody's
We'll
like,
call we'll call their bluff and we say we're gonna hurt them, but we're not going to actually hurt them.
ma'am, do you not see the hypocrisy in all of
Right,
this?
exactly.
Yeah, so you're dealing with obviously like her group, the fraction. I shouldn't. Yeah, I would say there's fractures in that
Oh,
group.
100%. I think
Yeah,
there's been fractures since the very beginning, because even in the first episode, days after the day that they buried them, and she said she wanted to go on this manhunt, they weren't even fully bought in at that moment.
right, right. Yeah, no, you make a good point. Like they're already kind of like, and the one that seems to be the second trigger happy next to her is our Falcon,
Yeah,
Danny
he was ready
Ramirez.
to kill Ellie like right there.
Right. So clearly he needs to die as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, we hate to see you go, but it is what
Yep.
it is. So in the meantime, that all that stuff, I know we're focusing a lot on the con- the the confrontation between Abby and Joel. But while that's all going on, Jackson is
It is in flames.
Jackson is burning. And they had a fairly I mean, give credit, they did have a fairly decent plan of, lighting these guys on fire, but did we see hints of the evolution of them being smarter to flank? He said they're going to breach.
Yeah, we saw them all kind of turn and start to go towards a different, I guess, weak spot they had found. They are evolving. That's just the reality of it. We saw that with the stalker. We saw that with them hiding in the dead body piles, like all of that. So they are evolving, and now the survivors see it even more. Like Ellie wasn't BSing when she said that.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, in the meantime, yeah. So that like when they all took off and run in different directions, like, where are they going? Like, did they got smarter and now
Yeah.
they're like he said, they're gonna breach. And that whole scene was just madness.
That was insane, but again, that's why I say it reminded me of the Long Night from Game of Thrones, because it was like the Battle of Winterfell and all of that, but it was daylight, you could see it. It was
Right.
so well choreographed. I'm curious how long it took them to rehearse and set all of that up. You felt the emotion with Sam and looking for his wife, and then going 1v1 with
Bloater.
the bloater, like that, all of that. You felt the tension that was going on, and that was going on kind of right before we got to the scene with Joel. So like you were just stiff with all of it, because you're like just seeing the safe community that they built, I don't want to say get ruined, but get breached and get attacked, and characters that we care about
Right,
face looking death in the face, and
right. You
all the
see,
while knowing in the back of your head what's just around the corner up at the lodge.
yeah, you see Tommy basically get stuck in a
Tommy,
dead
not Sam.
end.
Yeah.
You get stuck in a dead end because basically he sees that the bloater again is is this part of the evolution? Is it smart? Because like I don't know if like you're led I would have to go back and watch the first season again. Like, are you led to believe that these are kind of mindless creatures that are chasing? And now it seems it's like the one bloater like was going to go for his wife. I
Yeah.
can't think of what her name is, and but like he was targeted at her, which is why he started shooting because no matter how many times she was shooting at him, this thing was not going down.
Yeah.
And so when Tommy recognized that the bloater was chasing or going to go after his wife, he, got his attention, took off running. He has the flamethrower on his bag and it starts to lose pressure, lose whatever it's juju that he's got. And you think this thing's not going down.
Yeah.
I mean, were you
There,
thinking,
so like I said, I didn't play the second game, but I watched a playthrough and
sure,
I could not remember. Like I think I was so focused on everything with Joel and everything that happens with
right,
Joel and Abby and Ellie, I like genuinely forgot what happens with him. So as it was happening, I was like, wait, does he die here?
right,
And there was a moment when I thought he was going to, because I was like, the characters that would have like jumped in and saved the day, Joel, Ellie, Jesse, his
right,
wife, were all in their own situations.
right,
And I think it would have just added to the level of dread and hopelessness that was the theme of the episode, because Ellie lost someone, the most important person to her. The town got breached, people were dying. So like Tommy getting bit or killed like would have been on brand for the theme of the episode. So like there was a brief moment where I was like, they're gonna kill him. It's just gonna be a double whammy.
You think the reason part of it that they didn't kill him in the game and the show is because you didn't want to take both brothers out?
I think so. And I'm try again, it's been a minute. I'm
Right.
trying to remember the story, but I think he does have like another important role to play. If
Okay.
not like stuff he does, I think he has very important conversations with Ellie or someone. So I am vaguely remembering the second story
Right.
now and the part
Yeah.
that he plays.
Yeah, I'm like some people who are like, oh, I don't want to be spoiled. Like I would actually prefer to know what's coming up because I feel like I'm glad I knew about tonight because then I could kind of as much as I was like that just that sense of dread and suffocation that you carry throughout the entire episode. Like I'm glad I knew it was going like it was coming to an end.
I recorded Sarah's reaction.
Did you
I
really?
did. I knew it was coming. As soon as they like pulled up to the lodge, I just set my phone up and started recording.
Does she know anything about it at all?
She did not know. She did not
Mm,
know. And she was in shock, A, because it was Joel and Ellie, and now it's just Ellie, and then for how early it was. Because one of her comments,
sure.
when she finally caught her breath again, was like, it's the second episode. I was like, yeah.
Yep. That is what we told. We were like, we knew it was coming soon, and that just. Oh. Do you feel like there was any themes in the show tonight?
Um, maybe, and I guess if I had some time to try to connect some dots, the feeling after was hopelessness, but I guess I don't know because the community is still standing. It's in
Right,
flames, but like it's still standing. They had a plan. The plan worked. They lost people, but getting them off the streets, getting them into the basements, like so it's not like you can't say everything fell apart. There's no hope left because the
right.
town is still there. The women and children and all like the majority of them are safe. So I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Going back to that, um, did we already deal with you? We did see the one gentleman find the live fungi network
Yeah, I
in
don't
the
know if he
pipe.
talked about it because I feel like he saw it and then it cut to something else. So you have to wonder, because I mean, that fungi is what alerted them to where exactly they were.
Oh, okay. So that's how they knew
That's how the
where.
horde knew where to go because the
Okay.
fungi. it's like they're all connected in the circle of life. So like the horde felt the connection or felt the movement in
Mhm.
the vine stream, and they knew like this since they're connected to it, like, oh, that's coming from up the mountain to the right.
Okay, so
And
it was
so
kind of
they
almost like a GPS kind of tracker
exactly,
or Apple
exactly.
Tag kind of thing
Yeah.
where
It's like
they,
once the vine sensed non-infected, and I guess maybe it sensed a lot of them. I don't know how exactly it works, but once it sensed that, the horde was like, oh, we haven't gone over here, so let's send everyone this way.
we haven't checked this place in a while. So base is that I don't want to say is that storyline because I don't want to say story. I don't know if like that was so much a storyline, but is that do you feel like that's done as far as that connection to that pipe?
I would think so because it's
Hmm.
been breached. The horde knows where it is now. I wonder as they rebuild, because the whole plan was to take it apart. I wonder as they rebuild, do they pull it out, set it on fire, or something else? I don't think we get more of that.
Oh, nothing to do with the pipes, like the
Nothing to do with
pipes
the pipes. I think the horde might come that way again, but I don't think the pipes are going to play a role. I think the pipes was just the catalyst to get the horde.
there. Yes. Okay. So that, but that horde, is that horde different than the horde that was chasing um
I
Abby and
think it was
Joel?
a different one because I think they got on their horses and they were ahead of it enough, but I think the horde turned and that's what allowed Joel and them to survive. Because you see the
Okay.
number of horde that were chasing them. They were on horses. I think they were able to get a head start on them, but I don't think they would have fully outran them.
Right.
I think that it was the same horde that kind of just was like, oh, wait a minute, and went
Be,
that
and
way.
because they were going to Jackson, it looked like it was chasing them, but in fact, it was probably just headed into Jackson. They were in the way, and then they turned off to the lodge.
I think so.
Okay, all right, because like I
I mean, I
was
think they
actually
were chasing her to begin with,
sure, sure.
but then they were maybe chasing those four or five, and then their GPS was like, "Oh, there's a bigger meal over here," and so they're, "Oh, well, okay then."
It was like I think it was the other day I was watching World War Z, and I was just like, I don't know if I have it in me to even try to fight to like just let me get bit and that be
I
like,
have had that conversation, like my flight or fight. Like I think I would. I think most people would want to put up a fight, but I was like, the more you think about it,
oh, the
like
years.
the years and just the death and agony that comes with it. And like everyone's like, I could adjust, I could do this. Like, no, I don't think you realized how much technology and just being able to go to the grocery store and buy this and not have raiders, because not only would there be an infected zombies, whatever you want to call them, your fellow man is also out to get you.
Right,
You have to be on alert at all times. And I
right.
think a lot of people who are like, man, I'd be in it for the long haul. I'd build my own community. Like, bro, I give it like a week before 85% of the population is like, yeah, no, no.
I'm just because yeah, it's like World War Z. I saw World War Z the other day, and then the trailer for 28 years later
Yeah.
just came out, and I'm
It's
just
just
like,
miserable.
yeah, I'm just like, I don't like
Yeah.
these people don't look like they've had baths in a while. I'm just like, that's enough. Like
You just
I,
have to be used to eating beans out of a can, and if you're lucky, you get to warm it up. But if not, you never know.
yeah.
You have to learn to be a light sleeper. Like all of that. Toilet paper is going to be gone eventually. Gas is going to stop
Well, I
working. We're going to be
mean,
riding bikes.
toilet paper would be gone the first
Yeah.
week
Yeah. We
because you
learned that
saw,
one already. We already
yeah,
learned
we
that one.
I was gonna say, come on now. And eggs. I mean, like
Yeah.
people don't we you see what happens during a thunderstorm, so it's like
Yeah.
or a snowstorm that's coming. It's like
Right.
ugh. So without are there any predictions that you have about the rest of the season that aren't related to the game? Or at least that you don't remember
Um,
like where do you see as heading
I see
maybe
Ellie
next?
going out on a revenge tour. You already saw that she is a rebellious teenager who kind of does what she wants, and that's just her being her,
Right.
now being fueled by rage. I think, well, I would say go eye for eye, but technically Abby's was eye for eye. So she's going eye for eye for eye now.
Right. Police of a
Um,
world blind.
yeah, exactly. Um, and you know, you'll find out who's with her, but there's also going to be the rift between immediately going after Joel's killers versus rebuilding the community.
Right.
The
Yeah, like
needs of
what's
the
more
many outweigh
important?
the needs of the few, which that's
Right.
obviously going to cause a rift because Ellie probably no longer cares about that town.
No. But what his brother?
I think his brother does want revenge for him, but I think his brother has built, the people are looking to him,
Hmm.
plus his wife and kid. I think as much as he would want revenge, he would, unless he was prepared to leave it all to Jesse to take over. I don't think he would go join Ellie for the sake. And I think that'll piss off Ellie as well. Because she's
Sure.
like, did you not care about your brother? And he's like, no, I do, but I literally have my wife, my son, and
Right. This
however many
community.
other
Right.
people are here. I can't take my personal vendettas. And it's kind of like you see both sides. And I think Ellie's gonna be like, well, if you, I'm going.
Right. Yeah. Any concerns you have about season two?
Yes. And
Okay.
so not necessarily big ones. I
Okay.
think because Ellie did not necessarily look exactly like Ellie from the game.
Okay.
People still make their comments about it, but I think because she's a good emotional actor, which is required for this role, it's fine. I think Abby, and you kind of touched on it last week, doesn't isn't as muscular or tall, but mainly
Right.
muscular.
It's like she's like 6 foot something, like I
Yeah,
think in the
6 foot,
game. Yeah.
and she's just very toned. And I know
Right.
last week you're like, does it doesn't matter because she can act, and I agree, but I also won't pretend like that wasn't an important character trait that
Hmm.
she was strong. I still think this Abby looks capable. She wears the cargo pants and the tactical belt and everything, and it looks good. I do think we're missing not the essence of Abby because I think she pulls it off, but you're just missing something from Abby. So I guess what I'm worried about is in some of the hand-to-hand scenes, it not feeling as believable. I think
Okay.
I think she can act her butt off. I've seen her
Sure.
in plenty of other things. So I think all of the emotional stuff, I think will be perfectly fine, which is a
Right.
lot. Like her story is tragic, but I think when she starts throwing hands as the season goes on, I will be like, man, it hit a little bit harder when like I saw some muscle definition there.
Right.
But it's
Right.
also
Yeah.
not going to ruin it for me like I will, like I believe it will. It will ruin it for some people.
Because they'll need, yes, yes,
They'll
all
need
for,
something to complain about. Like for me, it'll be like it's still a great scene, but yeah, it would hit a little bit harder if
right.
she looked super muscular. But again,
Right.
as far as emotion is concerned, like
Oof.
we're
So
good.
good.
We're
Wasn't she?
good.
Ooh, she was so hateable. That's when you're like, I know you did, like, I know, like, this, it was hard to watch because
Yes.
she was so, like, hateable in that moment.
Yes.
Like, it was almost
Yes.
like you were like, I don't care about your pain. Like, you are just eat, like,
Yeah.
and I know they want you to be like, okay, like, oh, but she lost a father and she's carrying this hurt. I'm just like, no, there's, no, she didn't have to go down this path.
Yeah,
Like
and in
this,
the game they left it open as on whether or not the cure would have worked because some people
sure.
were starting to be like, well, the cure wouldn't have worked, so Joel was justified in saving her life. There are other people like, well, no, maybe the cure would have worked, so he shouldn't have killed her because again, the needs of the mini. So I think the game developers, writers, and everyone went in and was like, they left it open-ended
Yes.
so that we
Ambiguous,
couldn't
yes.
pick a side. The cure couldn't be the deciding factor on whose side you were on.
You, which is smart
Yeah.
because you take that away and it's like you just get to like whatever your visceral reaction is to her and what she's doing. It just lets you have it. It doesn't be
Yes.
like, oh, okay, well, she's, no, she has a little, no, you just get to like, oh no, you can either side with her and be like, yeah, no, I think what she did is great and he had to come in, or you can be like, she just made me so angry. And just like when she looked over and the golf clubs were there,
Yeah, it hurt. And that's kind of like I hated her for it, but I also looked at it as like I get it because I think I was one in the minority when Avengers Captain America Civil War came out
Right.
and everyone was like, I can't believe Tony was trying to kill Iron Man and Winter Soldier or was trying to kill Captain America Winter Soldier. Like he was brainwashed. He didn't even know he killed him. I was like, that's true, but put yourself in his shoes. You're watching a video, even if you didn't watch it, but he watched it. But you just know that the person that killed your parents, willingly or unwillingly, is standing 5 feet from you, and you have a $1 billion mech suit.
And you
You're
have
telling me that you wouldn't take the shot,
and you have impulse control issues. I mean,
and you
like
have
that
impulse
don't
control
yeah, I
issues.
mean like Tony Stark had impulse control issues.
Yes.
The whole
Yeah.
point
So
of it
like I
was
was
like,
like in the minority, I felt like when I was like, I mean, I get it because like they're all good guys, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know, if someone killed my parents and they were standing 5 feet from me,
yeah,
you could, oh, I was hypnotized. I don't care. You're going to
yeah.
die right here.
To
So when
quote
I
Chris,
see Abby
yeah.
doing that, I'm kind of just like, "What?" Like it broke me. But in
Oh
the
yeah.
farthest part of my mind, I'm like, oh, you didn't go on
But
a rampage and kill her dad.
she does have a dream where she herself is talking herself out of going into that room.
Yes.
So there
Yes.
is part of her that is did not like wants her to not
Yeah.
have this rage and this that image and that
Because there's just
hurt.
more pain down that road.
Right. Yeah. So it's like there is part of her that want to keep her from that. But yeah, I mean, like it's to quote Chris Rock, I'm not saying it was right, but I understand.
Exactly. Like,
And if you
that's,
haven't seen
yeah,
that stand up and you don't know what I'm
you need
talking
to
about,
go
I mean,
watch it. You
it's
need to
a,
go watch it.
I feel really bad for referencing what I'm referencing, but you just,
But
it
just
is,
that snippet of it.
yes, just that. I'm not saying it's right, but I understand.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all said and done, what would you give this episode?
I know I said last week it was way too early to give an A because they were
Sure.
so world building. They packed a lot into this episode, and I think I have to give it an A. You told two very emotional stories and gave them each their time. Like you didn't just throw one of them out there. Like you didn't just drop into the raid on the community. Like you
Yeah.
built up to it. You had the town hall. You threw in the storyline with Tommy and his wife. Like you saw it. You saw the end of it where people got bit and the guy handed this guy his gun. So he's like, hey man, like sorry you had him shoot him. And then
Right.
obviously the Joel and Ellie story, or I guess better would be the Joel and Abby storyline. Like you told two very emotional stories in an hour and 4 minute episode. It it hit it hit exactly how I thought it would. The visuals on the raid was again so well choreographed. Like I know some of the horror was probably CGI, but the reactions from the actors that were quite
Yeah.
literally fighting for their lives and their families' lives, like all of that was just phenomenal. And of course, the death scene, the fact that I knew it was coming and it still broke me, lets me know that they did it. They did the scene justice. So I give it an A.
Yeah. I give it an A because of I was even like we didn't know. We were pretty sure
Yeah,
it was
we thought
coming.
maybe three.
Right. We didn't know if it would end with them the confrontation and then like or like yeah, see the episode 2 would end with them coming face to face and then you would deal with that all of episode 3. I feel like they made the right decision because I the dread and it coming to an end did not help any. I mean, it's
Right,
not like you're like, oh God,
right.
okay, thank God that's
Yeah,
over
glad
with.
that's over.
Right. But on the other hand, it's like I think it would have taken away some of the gravity of the situation if we would have then spent episode 3 of like him being tortured or, of spent the most of the episode of him, yeah, him being tortured by Abby. You almost would have felt like him, like, can you just get on with this? But
Yeah,
like you knowing that you're kind of in a chokehold, and especially right after um they he rescues Abby and you think, okay, like you
yes.
said, and then the clock starts and you can almost just feel like it ticking down and you're like, just don't go back to the lodge. How about you just don't go back? How about we just rewrite this and you don't go back to the lodge? You just go into Jackson, you just start fighting, and she sees
Right.
what a wonderful person you are, and it's like everything is
Exactly.
happy. You're like, you could do this. He's like, choose your
Yeah.
own adventure. Why aren't we
Ellie
doing
comes
this?
back, you guys make up, everything is great.
And everything is great. She's like, wow, this guy who saved me is also in this town and he's fighting to save everybody. And
Yeah.
oh my goodness, right, that's right. There are bigger things out there to worry about, like the infected, but you don't get that. You get the dread come over him when he realizes that not only the consequence of the rift with him and Ellie because of the decision he made at the hospital that day, but it had ramifications he wasn't even aware of 5 years later.
5 years. Yeah.
Right. So when that finally happens, it's like, oh, like, oh my God, this has been 5 years later. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't realize, I knew things were bad with her and that might have possibly played into it, but there's a whole other level of bad
Yeah.
things going on here. So,
I agree
yeah,
with you with that. I'm glad they put it in the second episode because I knew it was coming, but even though I was like broken, I let out an exhale. And it's like, now we can get back to the show.
like, okay, now we can move.
Yes.
Like we can move on. We can try to start to heal from this and
Yes.
be focused on the like her revenge tour. Like
Yeah.
let me now, like I just dealt with grief. Let me now get into the anger and the
Yeah.
revenge.
I can start the
So
show now.
right, right. Like okay, just don't start the season until episode 3.
Yeah.
But it's good because we've got like again like the story between you're going to see flashbacks of Ellie and Joel and maybe what caused the rift. You're going to see the stuff with Eugene and why that death might have been little hinky. You're going to see the rebuilding of Jackson and how that interplays with Joel's death. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. And I mean, it's we just finished Daredevil and we're right into this. I mean, I'm happy with good TV. I'm always happy with good TV. So
Agreed.
all the people that
Agreed.
are on, I saw a whole bunch of, I shouldn't say a whole bunch, but I saw enough Twitter posts that were like, I can't believe how terrible the show is and how bad this writing is. I was like, you're
And that's what and I think that's what not worries me, but that's what annoys me with Abby's upcoming storyline because Abby is going to get a lot of screen time going
right.
forward. And again, do I wish she was more tall and muscular? Sure. But it's again, I can look past that because I think all of the emotional stuff were cool.
Right.
But the people that have a problem with it are going to just get louder and louder and louder and louder as the season goes on and on it like that. I'm not excited for.
I'm not either. And I admire the people who do it that don't have a blue check mark, that they're just doing it for the
They're
love of
just
the game.
doing it for the love of the game. Yeah.
I, I I give you some credit because I don't know what it is exactly that you're after, but congratulations, you hate
Yeah.
it and you're really edgy because you hate something that a lot of people once again are gathered on social media and coming together again. We love this kind of TV where it's weekly and you're not binging it and
Yes.
everybody's like together on social media reacting and like I mean, it's never going to have quite the same memes and tweets about it like you do the Game of Thrones House of Dragon, but it's still
It's close, but yeah, I think Game of Thrones did it
is next level.
first.
It's yeah,
And it was so unexpected. Like I know there have been other shows where the main characters were killed off. I know anime fans will jump in and like we've been doing that for years, but like live action, grown adult TV, just offing your favorite characters like it was nothing. Game of Thrones started that, and it just blended perfectly with where social media was at, and
exactly right.
it was insane.
All right, so we're gonna end the episode here. We really enjoyed it. We both gave it an A. We'd like to know what your thoughts are on it, what you think might happen, might not happen, any changes that you like, don't like. But we're gonna real quick. I mean, Will and I will discuss this in shortly, more in depth after I end this. But your thoughts on Sinners?
Phenomenal. And like I went into it expecting to be blown away because you and other people whose movie opinions I care about said it, but then the rest of the internet also said it. And I was like, man, everybody's in agreement on this. Like this must be good. And I went in with high expectations and it met all of my expectations.
insanely good.
Just
It's a journey.
yeah.
It's a journey.
I plan to see it again on the IMAX screen because I took the earliest time today, which was 10:45, just because I wanted to see it. So I because originally I filtered it to IMAX screens, and
Right.
then I was like, no, I'm just going to find the earliest time to see
Right.
it. So 10:45, I saw it. It blew me away. Just the visuals, the music, the soundtrack, the score, the soundtrack, the acting, just the layered stories, because it wasn't just a vampire movie. Like this was a cultural, it just one of
Yeah.
the greatest movies I have seen in a long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's yes. Yeah, we'll discuss more of this off air, but yeah, I just wanted because I knew you were going to see it today and I had seen a
Yes.
few of your tweets today and I
Oh,
was like, can't wait to talk to him about it. So,
yes.
well, like, subscribe. We'll be with you next week when the
Yes.
next episode is out and we'll see you all later.
All
Bye.
right.